Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at how unified Germany was by 1871. So following the Franco-Prussian War of 1871, Germany was unified with 26 different states, with Prussia making up 60% of the area of the Reich. Now originally the amount of German states was much larger, going up to 300 during the times of the Holy Roman Empire. However, Napoleon and his wars against the Holy Roman Empire did result in its dismantling, and of course then creation of further different German states, resulting in the eventual creation of Prussia as a state. And eventually, of course, Germany unified in 1871 following the Franco-Prussian War, where, of course, the Prussian state dominated with 60% of the area of the Reich taken up by them. Now, we tend to think of Germany as being unified at this time. However, it wasn't really that unified. And one of the biggest reasons of Germany not being unified is actually due to deep religious divides. This was because the south remained predominantly Catholic, while the north was mostly Protestant. This is due to, of course, the German-Austrian Wars, or the Prussian-Austrian Wars, where, of course, Prussia took land from the Austrians, and Austria was a Catholic nation at the time, whereas Prussia was Protestant, meaning that the lands that Prussia took off Austria were Catholic lands. Another big divide was the deeply rural East Germany, which made up most of its sort of money from farming. So sheep, it's where the Junkers mostly resided, except for Berlin, which was, of course, in the east. Berlin was an industrialized area, whereas the west of Germany was actually all industry. It was heavy things, steel, coal, railways, that type of thing, along with electronics and things like that, which will come later and we'll look at later in another video. And those were all, and that area was heavily industrialized due to the fact that it had lots of ports, meaning it could trade with the rest of the world. Another big division that they faced was the class difference. So working class versus the Junkers versus the royal family, very similar to what was going on in Britain in the sense is the way the royal family worked in Germany and Britain. Similar in some ways. Obviously, the royal family didn't hold that much power at that point in Britain, whereas in Germany, the royal family, the Kaiser, could, authorize laws. Another problem that Germany had was most of their states retained sovereignty. In fact, 3 states in Germany even had their own monarchies, who were, of course, below the main monarchy, the Kaiser. So Kaiser Wilhelm I at this point. The second does come later. But that was sort of all dealt with the fact that internal tariffs were abolished and other things like that. The main problem was simply that each state had sovereignty. This resulted in a lot of dissatisfaction towards the German nation as a whole. And this is due to the fact that many of the states actually almost felt colonized by Prussia, due to the fact that either they were forced to join out of fear of what the French would do, of course, the Franco-Prussian War being a masterful thing done by Bismarck to essentially get the southern states to join, or the Austrian states, for example, being forced to essentially join the German nation. So a lot of states felt quite independent from Germany. In fact, many people felt more loyalty towards the state than to the actual nation as a whole, which is something you then see happen in the American Civil War, where more people join the Confederacy rather than the Union because of the fact that they respect the Confederacy more as they're more loyal to their states than the actual Union itself. However, this was all dealt with by the introduction of standardized weights, a postal service, new criminal laws, which would go around the entire empire, and new plans for standardized railway. Now, this offset previously mentioned problems, as it would essentially result in Prussia being able to integrate with the other states. This will allow for greater cooperation and unification, because if you could, and paired with the internal tariffs that are abolished, if you were able to get your goods from the west of Germany to the east of Germany with no problems at all along the same railway, all using the same weights, it would make life a lot easier, and therefore you're more of a unified country. You don't have to spend so long trying to work things out. Overall, the new German state did have major problems with unifications that would eventually show in the Reichstag and the people's opinion of the state, with things like liberals, socialists, communists, the rise of the extremist parties, which all comes later on. That, disunification is a major thing that will show up in the Reichstag, and in fact the royal family and basically everywhere. But overall, Germany as a nation was unified well enough to allow them to expand, which of course they did as they slowly gained more land through Schleswig Wars, Franco-Prussian War, those type of things, and of course later on in their hopes for World War I. Now, next video we're going to look at basically how the Iron Chancellor went about attempting to make allies and essentially unify the entire nation of Germany under one banner.